Hello to all astrology lovers. In this video, I want to discuss the full moon in Aries that took place on October 17th, 2024, and it occurred at 24-25 degrees of this zodiac sign. And I remind you that the full moon in astrology is a special phase of the moon when it is opposite the sun in the zodiac circle, and its disk is fully illuminated. From the perspective of astrology, this is a time of culmination, a time of completion, and a manifestation of the results of the processes that began during the previous new moon.
And here we summarize the period from April 8, 2024, when we experienced not only a new moon, but also a solar eclipse in Aries. And here we can remember everything we planned and cherished during this period. By the way, you can review the video of the solar eclipse from the Spring Corridor to carefully track the implementation of what you wanted to manifest during this period. I would also like to remind you that our projects have been running for at least 2 years, but in these 6 months, we can identify the layer that we laid down at the initial stage.
It is also important to understand that the full moon always brings heightened emotionality. It always brings awareness of some hidden feelings, and it always involves internal and external conflicts, as the sun and the moon are in opposition, which naturally symbolizes the confrontation between our conscious desires, represented by the sun, and our subconscious needs, represented by the moon. What important aspects does this full moon bring to the surface? Well, first of all, it is completion and culmination, as I mentioned. This is a period when projects, ideas, and certain life situations reach their peak, so to speak, and much that was started during the new moon in Aries gains clarity and becomes visible. It is very important to consider that the waning moon works for us for 2 weeks right up until November 1, that is, until the next new moon. The theme of liberation also comes to the forefront here. That is, the full moon is always associated with the idea that we must let go of something that no longer helps us grow in life. And this can be an emotional burden, some old behavior patterns, unnecessary connections, relationships, or situations. Naturally, heightened emotionality is accompanied by emotions. There may be unexpected conflicts, disagreements, or on the contrary, some insights and clarity in situations. Here, there is a confrontation between the personality and the soul. The opposition of the sun and moon clearly indicates the necessity to find balance, for instance, such as between our external and internal worlds. And naturally, this is the zodiac sign of Aries, which means that the energies of this full moon activate the themes of personal initiative, leadership, independence, and standing up for one's interests. This is a time when our inner urges for action and change become particularly strong. Aries, in general, is the first sign of the zodiac, and it certainly symbolizes new beginnings, courage, and the desire to take action directly, quickly, and what does this full moon do with its energy? It precisely manifests these urges of ours, and this can happen, among other ways, through conflict. Naturally, the energies of the full moon outwardly relate to personal expression, individualism, impulsiveness, conflicts, courage, and decisiveness. This is a theme of independence and leadership. Aries, I remind you, embodies our drive for self-expression and personal independence. During this full moon, we may particularly strongly feel a powerful desire to assert our identity and our point of view. This is a time when one can start important personal projects and embark on the path of independent decisions and actions. The energy of Omna in general is quite hot. It is impatient and naturally can create the very basis for impulsive actions. And the full moon, of course, will amplify this tendency towards sharp, thoughtless decisions and spontaneous reactions. Here, both internal conflict and external quarrels with others may occur. And what is also very important is that this full moon charges us with determination and readiness for change. This period indeed opens up for bold steps forward despite it being the full moon. But we already have a foundation. Over these 6 months, we have accumulated a certain layer of new experience specifically in this area, the area of starting new projects and new stages of life. And now, precisely where we have some doubts and fears, this energy needs to be recognized and directed specifically towards advancing our goals. Another important point to pay attention to is the ruler of this full moon. Mars is the ruling planet for us because Mars governs now Aries. It is the planet of action, energy, will, and aggression. And we certainly feel the influence of Mars in this full moon. It is impulsiveness, it is determination, it is a drive for action. As the ruler of Aries, Mars emphasizes qualities such as courage, initiative, and the desire to fight for one's goals and overcome any obstacles. But it is very important to consider that Mars is currently in a water sign of the zodiac. This sign of the zodiac is Cancer. Mars in Cancer at the time of the full moon in Aries behaves quite atypically for its natural energies, because being in this sign, it is in its fall. Naturally, being in this position, in the position of fall, Mars seems to lose its strength, and the manifestations of Mars become more emotional, more intuitive, and protective. And what else is absolutely important to consider here? The habitual, active, direct, and aggressive energy of Mars transforms here into softer, more hidden forms of expression that are tied specifically to emotions, family matters, and the protection of personal space. Because I remind you, the zodiac sign Cancer is symbolic. It represents the fourth house, the house of family, the house of lineage, and the space where we live. And Mars in Cancer behaves quite emotionally. That is, there is an emotional motivation here. The drive towards goals comes specifically from emotional convictions. And we may now feel an especially strong internal pressure to act, but we are coming from feelings of safety, care, and the protection of loved ones. And this makes our motivation more emotional, more intuitive. Mars in Cancer can also exhibit such protective reactions instead of aggression. That is, this action is more cautious and restrained. Here, this energy may also manifest as an internal struggle between the desire to openly express one's initiative, which is the energy of Aries, and the necessity to protect one's emotional boundaries, which reflects the actions of Mars in Cancer. And here, there is such an indirect expression of anger, meaning that in Mars, the energy specifically regarding the zodiac sign Cancer is suppressed. This energy of aggression manifests through indirect forms, through passive aggression, and through emotional manipulation. During the full moon, it can be quite difficult to express one's feelings directly, especially when it comes to conflicts. This reveals a desire to protect one's feelings. And of course, feelings here certainly outweigh logic and any open dialogue. Speaking directly about the themes of 25 degrees of Aries for the full moon, these include the theme of choosing a direction, the theme of dual success or goals, the theme of ambitions and their realization, and intuitive decisions. All of this comes to the forefront. Here, this degree emphasizes the importance of choosing between two paths, especially at moments when one needs to decide where to direct their energy and attention. And it is the full moon that highlights this awareness that different opportunities lead to different outcomes. And now it is time to decide which of them is more important and significant. The theme of duality in the symbol of this degree also indicates the possibility of achieving several goals or success in multiple directions at the same time. This could involve working on two projects or establishing a balance between personal and professional life. Or it could refer to two important aspects of existence in our lives. Now let's consider the aspects that are at play during the full moon. Well, first of all, the most important aspects concern the Sun, and this Sun, which we have in Libra, is in a square with Pluto in Capricorn. A very powerful aspect that, by the way, Pluto has become direct after 6 months. And here this square creates tense, transformative, and very intense situations that require deep changes and the resolution of our internal and external conflicts. This aspect, combining the energy of two very powerful celestial bodies, the Sun, which symbolizes our personality, our ego, and Pluto, the planet of transformation, power, and control. The interaction of these energies can push us towards very serious internal and external changes. Speaking of situations that bring about this aspect, they can be conflicts of power and control, such as it can manifest in relationships, at work, and in business matters. And everything related to control, manipulation, attempts to dominate and exert pressure, all of this is happening right now with these aspects. In Libra, the Sun strives for justice, harmony, and partnership, while Pluto in Capricorn wants to structure and control. And of course, this creates contradictions. It creates situations where there is a dictatorship of power. Situations of crisis and transformation in relationships, in any social interactions, partnerships, alliances. There is a powerful confrontation with authorities here. There is a clash of personal values with ambitions. And Capricorn is associated with achieving goals, career growth, and the search for harmony and balance. And this is where the discord occurs, because the square is a negative, disharmonious aspect. It gives us contradiction and creates conflict. If one approaches these situations correctly and understands how these energies operate, then it is possible to balance these situations through compromise. Very deep personal changes occur in this aspect because Pluto always demands transformation from us. The square with the Sun frequently and primarily stimulates identity crises. We begin to question our life purpose, our place in society, and the meaning of our lives in general. And of course, a very powerful work on oneself begins here. The destruction of old ego structures takes place here. We gradually start moving towards something new. We begin to find our new place in the world. Here we have the square between the Sun and Mars, which is located in Cancer, the ruler of this full moon. And this aspect creates situations in which we face a desire for harmony, for compromises specifically in social relationships, along with some of our emotional reactivity and a need for protection and security. Let me remind you, Mars in Cancer wants protection and support. Naturally, this aspect also gives us quite emotional contradictions. Considering that the aspect is already separating, it still works very strongly and can lead to both aggression and emotional outbursts. And here it is necessary to work with your emotions without any manipulations. Here, it is necessary to find a balance between personal interests and the needs of the people around us. What is also pleasing here during the full moon in Aries is that another aspect is at work, the trine. It is also a separating aspect. However, it is very powerful because it is a trine, the Sun in Libra with retrograde Jupiter in Gemini. Gemini is about communication and interaction. Jupiter is one of the most powerful planets. And the trine creates very harmonious and supportive energies in situations related to the expansion of our knowledge, with some kind of social activity, and it certainly focuses us on our ideological beliefs. This aspect can still provide ease in communication. It can promote the development of partnerships, especially those based on intellectual and philosophical discussions. And here, the energies of retrograde Jupiter direct us to review something and correct certain mistakes. And it is Jupiter that helps us to rethink our past experiences and views. And it kind of brings us back to unfinished projects and relationships, especially those related to learning and expanding our horizons. And it is precisely here that Jupiter helps us find these compromises, engage in cooperation, and arrive at wise solutions that are based on honesty and fairness. And of course, it is very important to pay attention to the fact that all these factors together create a large square in the sky at the moment of the full moon in Aries. 4 squares. You understand it's a challenging aspect, a big square involving the Sun in Libra, the Moon in Aries, Pluto in Capricorn, and Mars in Cancer. Very powerful tension. Conflicting energies and interests intersect to such an extent that they require very urgent resolution from us. The aspect brings such intense internal and external contradictions. Here, the desire for harmony and justice simply clashes with our impulsive emotional reactions and the desire for independence. There is also pressure from structures, as I mentioned earlier, and there is a need to protect oneself and assert one's boundaries. Such energies create situations of crisis and conflict in relationships, careers, and domestic affairs, but they also give us the opportunity for transformation. This is a case where we need to find a balance between compromise and our self-expression, using the strength of such emotional resilience, flexibility, and being open to quickly adapt to all the changes that come our way. Let's not forget that during the full moon, we have 3 bisextiles working simultaneously. They provide us with very powerful supportive energies. Bisextile Venus in Scorpio, Pluto in Capricorn, retro Neptune in Pisces. The second bisextile is Mars in Cancer, retrograde Uranus in Taurus, and retrograde Neptune in Pisces. And the third, the most powerful, is the bisextile of the higher planets, retrograde Uranus in Taurus, Pluto in Capricorn, and retrograde Neptune in Pisces. Where Neptune is present, it speaks of our views on life, our ideology, our beliefs, and our worldview. Everything comes to the forefront. And when an active tribisextile occurs simultaneously, there is a tendency for deep transformational processes aimed specifically at reviewing our past actions, emotional attachments, and certain material values. These aspects create a very favorable ground for inner work, allowing us to heal old wounds and reassess outdated structures, adapting to changes through smooth yet powerful transformations. Here, themes of emotional depth, such an inner revolution and a reassessment of the spiritual and ideological foundations of our lives are activated. It is important to be open to unexpected changes. Here, it is necessary to make intuitive decisions. It is important to be very flexible, especially in personal and social relationships. And now let's take a detailed look at how the full moon in Aries works for each of the 12 zodiac signs, as well as what significance and role the karmic node and the planet Mars play for us. Dear Libra, the full moon in Aries is in your 7th house of the horoscope. This is quite a significant full moon for you. The karmic axis is right in Aries and Libra, and we recently had a solar eclipse in your sign. Now is the time for you to summarize, gain some clarity, and conclude certain situations related to the themes of the 7th house. And this is our partnership, our personal relationships, marriage. These are business relationships, relationships with enemies and with clients. And here the full moon gives you quite strong dynamic energies that will help you make some personal discoveries and implement some changes in these areas of life. This is a time when your issues related to romantic relationships, friendships, and business partnerships may become more pronounced. And all of this will urge you to reconsider these relationships, review their boundaries, and uncover some hidden tensions and conflicts. Any relationships will require attention and, let's say, reworking. In general, the energies of the full moon will activate any of your partnerships, intensify any existing conflicts, raise the topic of independence in relationships, and create situations related either to the completion or the beginning of significant relationships in your life. There will be conflicts, negotiations, dialogues, and any discussions here. The theme of your independence will come to the forefront, and it will be important to find a balance with the needs of other people so that everyone feels comfortable. Furthermore, you have a karmic node here, the north node of the future, and of course it is directed towards your spiritual growth, activating your attention specifically on themes related to partnerships and interactions with other people. And it will encourage you to delve deeper into your connections, free yourself from old behavior patterns, and open up new opportunities for creating relationships and interactions. Moreover, the ruler of this full moon is located in the 10th house of your horoscope, and it certainly draws your attention to themes of career, professional relationships, ambitions, public image, your social status, and your values. And of course, Mars fast will encourage active action in your career, striving for recognition and respect. Here, it is important to establish a balance between personal and professional needs and to seek new ways to express your creativity specifically. For professional goals, and in order to work with the energy of this full moon, stay open to communication, of course. Be sure to pay attention to your personal boundaries in relationships. If there are conflicts, resolve them. Reach a compromise. First and foremost, focus on your desires. In any interactions, I wish you success. Subscribe, like, and share this video. Bye-bye.